To celebrate its 10th anniversary, in 1973, Tsuburaya Productions launched 3 new programs as a way to recognize this milestone in the company's history. These included Ultraman Taro, the 5th entry in the Ultraman series, Jumborg Ace, which featured a heroic giant robot that was entrusted to Naoki Tachibana to fend off the gross alien empire's invasion, and Fireman, which centered on a magma energy-powered giant who protected the planet from ancient monsters and space-based threats. Fireman started its broadcast on the Nippon Television Network on January 7, 1973. Despite a strong start, incredible visual effects, and a focus on a back-to-basic storyline, the series wrapped up its run earlier than planned on July 31st with episode 30. Of the 3 programs conceived to celebrate the company's 10th anniversary, Fireman had the most ambitious goal. The series was to focus on presenting science fiction stories that harken back to the company's earlier works and created opportunities to showcase Tsuburaya's special effects prowess. It would do this by depicting stories through which the characters in Fireman could challenge threats from the sea and the depths of the earth. These settings would be the canvas on which the company flexed its special effects production capabilities with expansive sets, costumes, and miniatures. To achieve this, Tsuburaya Productions partnered with 2 companies, Manensha and Daiei. At the time, Manensha was Japan's oldest advertising agency and was involved in the production of several television programs. Some of these included well-known works like Astro Boy, Warrior of Love Rainbow Man, and Gecko Kamen. And due to logistical and scheduling challenges with the studio space Tsuburaya Productions typically use for their programs, the company worked with Daiei to film the new TV series at the company's Tokyo studios. With the premise of the program finalized and recording space secured, the production started recruiting talent for this new program, which would bring together many veterans of previous Tsuburaya production works. Naoya Makoto, who at the time had only appeared in a few Toei movies, was cast as the series protagonist Daisuke Misaki, whose secret identity was Fireman. This role would eventually help the actor land the role of Aka Ranger in Toei's Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. He would be joined by 4 other recurring cast members who collectively made up the Scientific Attack Force, this program's version of the Ultraman series Science Patrol. Gunpachi Uno, the captain of the SAF, would be played by Goro Mutsumi. The actor had previously appeared in Mighty Jack and Ambassador Magma among many television and film credits. Shin Kishida was cast as the vice captain, Dr. Mitsushima, a space engineering doctor. The actor had previously worked in other Tsuburaya productions, including Return of Ultraman and Ultraman Ace. His work in Fireman would be followed by an appearance in the 1974 Toho film Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla alongside Mutsumi. Futoshi Shiba was played by Sei Hiraizumi, who would go on to appear in multiple entries of the Ultraman series, including Ultraman Leo, Gaia, Mebius, and Ultraman Zero. And Keiko Kurihara was cast in the role of Mariko Hayama, who is in charge of communications and the SAF systems. This is her first television role, which was followed by appearances in Inazuma and Ultraman Leo. This cast would be complemented by multiple guest stars who appeared throughout the series in various roles, including aliens, other members of the SAF, and civilians who are impacted by the threats the SAF takes on in each episode. Fireman's story opens deep under the sea, where the research submarine Sea Marine is in a research mission. Without warning, its operations are interrupted when its radar detects something falling from the sky. The mysterious object crashes into the sea, triggering a 50-degree spike in the water's temperature. In a nearby village, the water also begins to glow, leading to one of the elders to speak of an old legend of a monster rising from the sea. According to the prophecy, the monster would only be stopped by the arrival of a red giant. In the village, Dr. Umino and Mariko of the Ocean Development Center meet with geologist Daisuke Misaki, who shares recent fossil discoveries with them. There are some unusual specimens among them, which concern Dr. Umino. These strange events and discoveries bring together Dr. Mitsushima of the Space Development Center, Dr. Umino, and the Marine Development Center's Dr. Shiva to discuss the situation and determine what to do next. This leads them to explore the bottom of the sea near the island, where they run into a giant dinosaur that attacks the Sea Marine submarine. The group manages to escape the dinosaur, but it continues to pursue them, surfacing on the island where it's attacked by the defense forces. Its appearance draws the attention of Misaki, who rushes to where the creature is rampaging. His secret identity is then revealed. Misaki is a member of the underground continent of Aban, who has come to the surface to protect the Earth as the giant hero, Fireman. While in fireman form, he uses the power of magma to fight back against the giant dinosaur and protect a small village, fulfilling the Elder's prophecy. Witnessing the emergence of giant dinosaurs in Fireman leaves the group of scientists in a contemplative mood. Dr. Umino begins to talk about these and other recent situations across the world and in space, which he worries may lead to invaders from beyond Earth. He believes that preparations should start to counter these threats with science. This is followed by the formation of a government-backed Special Investigation Group, the SAF, which stands for Scientific Attack Force. This organization will be led by Dr. Umino, who recruits Dr. Mitsushima, Dr. Shiva, Mariko, and Misaki. Operating out of a special underground base, the SAF has access to an extensive arsenal of weapons and vehicles that support their mission. These include an upgraded Sea Marine, the flying vehicle Marigon, the underground explorer Moglian, and the special attack fighter Marinblade. Throughout the course of the series, the SAF would work together to counter giant monsters, extraterrestrial invaders, and strange phenomena. Unbeknownst to them, Misaki would also secretly come to their aid as firemen whenever the situation called for it. Fireman's storyline can be broken up into roughly 3 narrative arcs. The first one takes place between episodes 1 and 12. These episodes establish the series format and generally focused on a back-to-basics approach to its stories, which are a throwback to classic science fiction works and Tsuburaya Productions' earliest programs. Whether it was giant dinosaurs that had awakened from hibernation, extraterrestrials with plans to conquer the planet, or underground creatures living in an undiscovered world, these adversaries to the SAF would be reasonably explained. The reason for existing and how they would be defeated followed a reasonable science fiction-based explanation. While these stories were crafted with a high level of quality and presented with some of the best practical effects work of this period, they failed to grab the attention of the series' target audience. Fireman also struggled in the ratings due to competition from the popular Sasai-san anime, which led to the series' broadcast being moved to Tuesday evenings, starting with episode 13, in a bid to boost its ratings. This new schedule also triggered a transitional arc for the program. Episodic plots now rely less on the science fiction elements that previously defined the series in favor of stories with accessible concepts and more scenes of firemen fighting against the episode's monster. This arc culminates with a 2-part story that starts with episode 17. The alien Sulfur have triggered a volcanic eruption that releases their living weapon, King Zaura. This giant monster, which is controlled by the aliens, boasts an armored hide and superior strength that made it possible to counter Fireman's attacks and eventually defeat the giant hero. This leads to Misaki's body returning to one of the elder leaders of the underground continent of Aban. While saddened by the loss of their chosen champion, the elder is undeterred and in a final act gives a new weapon to Misaki and sacrifices his life force to resurrect the fallen hero. Empowered with new arm bracelets that further enhance his magma powers, Fireman is now able to challenge and defeat King Saura using a devastating new attack, Fire Dash. The conclusion to this two-part story is followed by the final arc in the series, which moves the program even further from its original vision. Starting with episode 19, Fireman expands its worldview to include unusual situations and monsters that are no longer limited to giant dinosaurs or alien creatures. For example, in episode 19, Fireman comes face to face with a giant koala-like monster who needs help shrinking in size so that it can get back inside its spaceship. In episode 24, Fireman takes on a sound spirit monster which takes the form of a harmonica and various other instruments. To help calm the spirit and return it to where it came from, Fireman has to play a harp and the giant harmonica until the spirit regains its peace. Despite this pivot in the series' creative direction and softening of its characters, Fireman was not able to improve its ratings, which led to the series being cancelled and wrapping up its broadcast run with episode 30. Fireman's mission to bring back the excitement and style of Tsuburaya Productions' earlier programs was ambitious, but unfortunately arrived during a massive shift in the popular cultural landscape which reshaped the preferences of their audience. The first of these was the henshin boom that was kickstarted by Kamen Rider in 1971. By 1973, the series was increasingly popular, which was further fueled by the premiere of its first sequel series, which premiered just a month after Fireman, Kamen Rider V3. Toei's exciting visual presentation of V3's battles against Destron, the visual creativity of his opponents, and Shunsuke Kikuchi's music made Fireman's nostalgic approach less appealing to a younger audience. The second one arrived with the Messenger Z TV series in 1972. This program was an immediate success that inspired the creation of several anime productions featuring heroic super robots fighting evil empires. Between Messenger Z and Toei's transforming hero programs, Fireman didn't do enough to stand out or align to the shifting preferences of TV audiences of the time. Adapting to the times is what allowed the other programs in Tsuburaya Productions' 10th anniversary works to succeed where Fireman failed. For example, Ultraman Taro, the fifth entry in the Ultra series, broke away from many of the franchise's conventions up to that point. Whereas Ultraman had previously been presented as an entity with an air of mystery around it, Ultraman Taro made its protagonist approachable and part of a broader family. Ultraman was no longer a lone heroic figure that came to the aid of humanity in times of crisis. He was a member of an Ultra family and an Ultra brother, and the other program, Jumbo Ace, featured a giant cyborg that is controlled by a heroic human pilot from within a futuristic cockpit. Unlike other giant hero series of this period, this is the first time the protagonist of the series continued his role in between forms instead of fading into the background once the heroic giant appears. These format changes allowed Ultraman Taro and Jumbo Ace to have full runs with 53 and 50 episodes respectively. Despite its cancellation, Fireman is now regarded as one of Tsuburaya Productions' best works from this period, especially its early episodes. Their focus on science fiction-driven exploration and episodic adventures that took viewers to fantastic destinations in space, the oceans, and underground are still some of the more memorable ones from the studio. A great example of this is Episode 5, The Boy Who Fell into the Jurassic Era. In it, the SAF is drawn into a hidden underground world filled with volcanoes, Jurassic period flora, and dinosaurs. The presentation of this secret world comes to life on screen with active volcanoes that are spewing gases and fire, a fog-covered lake, and giant trees that at times rival the size of Fireman and Eurosaurus. Another example is Episode 6, The Secret of Planet Gamaras. This episode takes us to a living world where the giant monster's pacer is contained. Like the previous story, this one also takes us to a visually spectacular living environment, featuring dark skies, alien landscapes, and colorful practical effects. It makes for a memorable presentation that is unique to Fireman. The series often feature excellent practical effects, which were further enhanced by the scale of Daiei's Tokyo studios. This can frequently be seen in early episodes, which feature monsters rising from the water, being attacked by scale model fighter jets and the SAF vehicles. The combination of these props plus the giant set perfectly conveyed the scale of Fireman's battles against his giant monster opponents. In the years following the series' cancellation, Fireman's presence in the cultural landscape would begin to fade, aside from limited features in hobby magazines and books. Fireman's mask would, however, be repurposed for the company's 1978 TV series Star Wolf. In episode 20, we are introduced to the gold robot GC301. This character was built with a recycled Fireman mask. The Fireman TV series would return in the late 1980s with a few VHS video releases. This was followed by a Laserdisc set release in 1998, which featured beautiful artwork and photography from the series. This is followed by multiple DVD releases through various publishers in Japan. In 2010, Fireman was revived in the theatrical film Ultraman Zero: The Revenge of Belial. In the movie, Ultraman Zero has a run-in with the Pirates of Flames, whose crew includes a powerful bodyguard, Glenn Fire. After an initial fight against the hot-headed pirate, Ultraman Zero gains Glenn Fire's respect and trust, which eventually leads to the two powerful beings teaming up to defeat Belial. Glenn Fire is a reimagining of the original Fireman character set within the Ultraman universe. Throughout his many appearances, several references would be made to his predecessor, like the Fire Stick attack, which is a reference to the original's transformation method. Glenn Fire will go on to appear in multiple Ultraman Zero works. His most recent appearance on screen was in the Ultraman Geat movie Connect the Wishes, which was released in 2018. An alternate version of Glenn Fire also makes an appearance in the novel series Ultraman: Another Genesis. In this story, Glenn Fire is an Ultra and his design is closer to the original design for the character. It's been over 50 years since Fireman first appeared on television. Like many of Tsuburaya works, the series stands the test of time thanks to the high quality of its production and story concepts.